Okay, once again, this is chapter 15 about corrections of error. And corrections of error have prior chapter that you need to understand, which is journal entry. Which chapter is it? If I'm not mistaken, it's in chapter 3, yeah? About journal entry, okay? So you need to be able to understand journal entry so that you can do corrections of error, okay? Now, I'm continuing to the first slide. There are two types of errors, errors that are not affecting trial balance and errors that are affecting trial balance. We are studying the first one, which is not affecting trial balance. What it means by not affecting trial balance is that when the error happens, when the error happens in the business, your trial balance is still showing an equal balance. It is still balanced. Yeah, we know that if the trial balance is equal, most probably there will be no errors. Yeah, but since we are now talking about corrections of error, apparently there are errors, yeah, which happens, but it is not affecting trial balance. Means your trial balance is wrong, even though it is showing an equal balance. Yeah, that is error that are not affecting trial balance. Okay, clear, yeah? So your trial balance here will showing an equal balance. Now, let's talk about the type of errors that are not affecting trial balance. We have 6 of them. The first one is error of omission. Yeah. The second one is error of commission. Yeah, please be careful. The name is almost the same, yeah, similar, but they are completely different. Yeah. Number 3, error of principle. 4, error of original entry. 5, complete reversal entry. And number 6 is compensating error. Yeah. Okay, we continue to discuss number 1. Okay. Over here, we have error of omission. Error of omission happens when a transaction is completely omitted. The word omitted means forgotten. Okay, so it means it's forgotten from the books. Yeah, this means that double entry records was never happened. So both debit and credit will be understated. Once again, you have a transactions, but you forgot to record that in the books. Yeah, the business forgot to record that in the books. That means debit entry and credit entry are not done. Yeah, it's never been done before. That is why, because this transactions is not yet been entered in the books, it makes your books understated in the debit and credit side. Yeah, means understated is it is lower than it's supposed to. Okay, you're supposed to make an entry in the debit, but you did not. You're supposed to make an entry in the credit, but you did not. Yeah, as a result, they both debit and credit will be understated. Yeah, clear on the definition? Clear? Yeah. Let's continue to the example. Payment of stationery expense for 950 by cash, and then no entry has been made in the books. Now, in order when you trying to solve an error transactions, try to divide the sentence into 2. Divide the sentence into 2. Yeah, the first sentence is always showing the right transaction. Yeah, or the transactions that you're supposed to record. The second sentence is showing where you made the mistakes. I repeat, yeah. So when you see an error transactions, cut it and divide it into 2. Yeah. The first transaction is always showing the transactions that you're supposed to record. The second one is how you record it, is where you made the mistakes. Yeah, so let's see. To solve an error, I usually make a 3-column. Yeah, I usually make a 3-column. This is to help us to make a correction. Okay, the first column is the should be entry. The should be means that you should record these transactions, the correct one, how you should record the transaction. Yeah, so let's see the number 1 transactions. Payment of stationery expense for 950 by cash. This is a transaction that you should record. And how should it recorded is on the first column. Okay, how it should be recorded is stationery on the debit side and cash in the credit side. Yeah, this is how a payment of stationery expense by cash is recorded. Clear, yeah? Now let's see on the second transaction. This is where you make the record, where your transaction is wrongly written. Yeah. No entry has been made in the books. No entry. So the actual entry here is nothing. I called it as no entry. Nothing is entered in the books. Yeah. So this is where the mistake is. And this is how it should be shown. Clear, yeah? Clear, yeah? Easy to understand, yeah? Easy to follow, yeah? And then let's make the correction entry. To do correction entry, you have to add another entry, yeah, that will combine with actual entry so that it becomes should be entry. Once again, correction entry is a new entry, is a new journal entry that you will make that will be combined with the actual entry, with the second column over here, so that it will produce or it will be equal with the should be entry. Clear enough? Yeah. So this is should be, this is what is actually happened. This is already happened in the books. So we should add another new entry so that this entry will become like that. So let's see. On the actual entry, there is nothing in the debit side. Meanwhile, there should be stationery in the debit side. What should you do? You should add stationery in the debit side. This is the new entry that you made so that your previous error over here can now be corrected and shown like this. Clear, yeah? Is that clear? Response, yeah? Yeah, let me see your nodding or voice, yeah? Yes, Nara. Next, let's see the actual one again. Credit entry is 0, it's nothing. When it should be cash, 950. Yeah, when it should be cash. So correction entry is that we have to add new entry so that in the credit entry has cash in the credit side. So the correction is cash. We need to write down, we need to make an entry in the credit side, cash 950. Yeah, so this is how you make a correction entry. The correction entry that you create, the new entry is debit side stationery and cash 950 on both debit and credit. Now, correction entry plus with actual entry equal to should be entry. Yeah, so you have done make a correction. Okay, number 1 is still easy, yeah, error of omission, because the actual the correction entry is always the same with should be entry. Always the same, yeah, because practically you did nothing, yeah, before, so you just have to do what you should do, yeah. So omission is clear, yeah. Any question? Okay, let's continue to commission. Now pay attention to this one, yeah. Error of commission happens when an account is posted in the wrong account Same side, side means same debit, yeah, or the same credit. Either it is in the same debit or the same credit, yeah. Once again, wrong account, same side, either debit or credit, and same category. What it means by same category is both of the accounts are assets, liability, equity, capital, sorry, trade receivables or trade payables. Same category, yeah? Okay, example. Receive check from J. Collins for 1,000 for amount owing. This was credited to B. Collins' account. Once again, step number 1 is to cut the sentence into 2. The first sentence is always showing how you should record the transaction, and transactions number 2 is showing where your mistake is and how and what the actual entry that you have done in the book. Yeah, so let's continue with number 1 first. Close the second transaction. Yeah, I suggest you not to look the transactions overall. You should see sentence by sentence so that it is not confusing for you. Yeah. See number 1 first. Receive check from J. Collins for $1,000 for amount owing. Okay, when we receive check from J. Collins 1,000, yeah, how should we record this? We look on the first column over here. Receive check means bank in the debit. Agree, yeah? So we put 1,000 in the debit, and then who is paying? J. Collins. J. Collins paying 1,000 to us. It means J. Collins is TR, trade receivables. Yeah, that is why J. Collins in the credit side, because they are paying. When they are paying, asset decrease. Yeah, they are decrease in the credit side. Once again, what we have learned in chapter 3. Yeah. So 1,000 is here. Okay. Now, this was credited to B. Collins' account. The second transaction is where you made the mistake. When the actual transaction that is happened in your book. Now, this was credited to B. Collins. It doesn't say anything about the debit balance. The debit balance or the debit entry is assumed correct. Yeah, it said this was credited to B. Collins. So what you actually did is you put the bank in the debit side, but you did not, to erase this one first, yeah? Okay, but you did not record credit side as J. Collins, but you wrongly record that as B. Collins. So this is the actual that you made. Yeah, it is wrong. Okay, it is wrong. Now, how to make a corrections on that? We'll see. We compare between actual and should be. Okay, we compare that. We compare the actual with should be. The actual in the debit side is bank. The should be is bank. It is already correct. Should you make a corrections on the debit side? The answer is no. Oh, sorry. Should you make the corrections on the bank transaction? The answer is no, because it is already in the right side and the right amount. Yeah. Now we'll see on the B. Collins. And the credit side, B. Collins, J. Collins. B. Collins, is B. Collins shown in the should be entry? The answer is no. B. Collins is not showing in the should be entry, but you already made an entry on that. What should you do? You should make a cancellation. Yeah, you already record B. Collins in the credit side. How to make a cancellation? You put B. Collins in the debit side. So put B. Collins in the debit side. This is the new entry that we create, yeah, to correct the actual entry. After you make the entry in the debit side, B. Collins, so B. Collins debit side combined with actual B. Collins in the credit side, it is now become gone or zero. Yeah, it is cancel each other out. So after you create the corrections in here, so B Collins is no longer in the books. Okay, B Collins is no longer in the books. Yes, Jerry, it's okay. For those whose Wi-Fi is a bit slow, you can turn off the camera. Yeah, it's okay. Now, next, after B Collins is gone, now we check again. We check again with the should be entry, the actual with the should be entry. Okay. In the actual, there is no J Collins, but in the should be, there is J Collins. So what should we do so that the actual showing J Collins, we should add credit side with J Collins. Okay, now after you make corrections of B Collins in the debit and credit J Collins, if you add that with the actual, only B Collins that are cancel each other out. So now it becomes bank. It becomes bank in the debit side and J Collins in the credit side. If we look at that, yeah, it is already showing equal with the should be entry. Clear? Any question? Am I too slow? No, yeah, okay. Let's continue to the number 3, error of principal. Principal is almost the same like commission, yeah? Principal happens when an account is posted in the wrong account, same side, but different category or wrong category, yeah? Commission, same category. Principal, wrong category. It means, let's say, if I mistakenly record asset with expense, asset and expense are in the same side, which is debit, yeah? But they are different category, yeah? In this case, in commission, TR and TR, they are in the same category, okay? Meanwhile, for principal, different category. For example, asset and expense, yeah? Income and liabilities, yeah? Let's say trade receivables and expense, yeah? The point is there are different category, but they are in the same side, yeah? Most common transaction is expense with asset, okay? Now this is the example, paid motor expenses for 500 by cash. This was posted to the debit side of motor vehicle. Again, cut the sentence into two. The first sentence always showing how you should record that. The second is the mistakes, yeah? Number 1, paid motor expenses for 500 by cash. How should you record that? Motor expense in the debit side and cash in the credit side, yeah? Okay, next, the second one. This was posted to the debit side of motor vehicle. Vehicle is an asset, expense is an expense, yeah? So what you actually did is motor vehicle in the debit side and credit side cash. It doesn't say anything in the second sentence that you made a mistake in the cash side. So we have to assume that the cash is correctly entered. Yeah. So once again, motor vehicle in debit and cash in credit side. Yeah. Expense is wrongly entered as asset, different category. Okay. How to make a corrections? Again, we have to make a comparison between actual and should be. Let's see the first one on the motor vehicle side. In the actual, you have motor vehicle. In the should be, there is no motor vehicle. So we need to cancel this motor vehicle. We need to erase this motor vehicle. How to erase that? By making an entry in the credit side with motor vehicle. Yeah, 500. Once you made a credit entry of motor vehicle, now it is cancelled. It is now erased from the books, like so. Yeah, it is now erased. So because motor vehicle is not in the should be, yeah. Next, in the actual, there is no motor expense. When it must be there, yeah, it should be there. Motor expenses should be in the debit side. Since you haven't recorded motor expense in the debit side, so you should record that now. So in the debit side, we have motor expense by 500, yeah. Once you make a correction entry, we combine them. Yeah, we combine, yeah. It's supposed to be plus. We combine them. And then motor expense in the debit side and cash in the credit side. Yeah, we ignore motor vehicle because it already been erased. So we have motor expense in debit and cash it already the same. So this is how the correction entry be. Yeah. Remember, correction in journal entry is not like it's not like you trace back the transaction before and then you erase it and then you make a corrections on that. Cannot, yeah, because sometimes in an office, yeah, in a company, they are using what is it called, software, accounting software, yeah. So when you are doing entry with accounting software, you cannot trace back the transactions that you made before. So in order to make a corrections on the error that you made like previous time or days before or months before, you have to make a correction entry. And this correction entry will canceling what you have done before so that it becomes correct. So this is what we actually do, yeah? Correction entry, making corrections at the end of the year, of the end of the month, without having to trace back and erase what you have done before, yeah? Because imagine if you did that in February, you are making corrections on December. It's impossible to make corrections on the T account because the T account is already long, already been like added with a lot of entries from months before, yeah. So it is better to make correction entry like that. Okay, for error of principle, do you have any question? Next, yeah, error of original entry. Okay, original entry can be divided into two. Pay attention, everyone. Error of original entry happens when a transaction recorded in the right account. The account is already correct. In the right side, the debit and the credit entry is already correct, but wrong amount is entered in both debit and credit. Both, yeah, debit and credit. Okay. Now, this kind of error can make your entry becomes understated or overstated. There are two types. Yeah, you have to pay attention whether you are in the overstating side or overstating case or understating case. Yeah. Let's see the first example. Paid salaries expense for $1,230 by check. This was posted to the book as 1,320. When it said it was posted to the books, when it said the book means both debit and credit. Okay, that's a key term that I teach you now. Yeah, please remember that. When it said this was posted to the book, it means both debit and credit are wrong. Yeah. It is different when it says this was posted to the cash account by blah, blah, blah. So it means the cash is only the one that make the mistake, not the debit or credit. Yeah. But when it said it was posted to the book, it means both debit and credit are affected. Yeah. It said it was posted as 1,320. Remember, divide the sentence into two. This is the first sentence, number one. This is number two, yeah? Number one, or the correct one is 1230. Meanwhile, the wrong one is 1320. The wrong one is over than it should be. So it means you are in overstated case. You record bigger than you're supposed to, yeah? You record bigger than it's supposed to. That's the clue. So let's say the first sentence. Paid salary expense 1230 by check. How should it be recorded? Salaries in the debit side, bank in the credit side with $1,230. Okay, both showing the same amount. Now, let's see on the number two. This was posted in the books as 1320. Still, debitnya salaries expense, credit is bank, but the amount is 1320. Okay, the amount is $1,320. Now, looking at this, you record bigger than it's supposed to. How to make a corrections on this? We have to reduce both of them. Reducing the amount of both of them is the same by putting them in the different side or the opposite side. To reduce salaries expense, we have to put salaries expense in the credit side. By how much? How should we reduce 1320 until it becomes 1230? We have to reduce by $90. Yeah, because it is overstated by 90. So after you put salaries expense 90 in the credit side, yeah, this plus that, yeah, is the same like 1,320 minus 90. Yeah, as the result, it is now become 1,230. Is that clear? Clear, yeah? Now, let's continue to the bank. On the bank side, you put in the credit side 1320. You should make the bank 1230. Overstated again, yeah? So you should make a deduction by putting it in the opposite side, which is in the debit side, with the $90, yeah? So that bank in the credit and bank in the debit, yeah? Different side, so it means 1320 minus 90, it is equal with 1,230. Yeah, now can you see over here, if you are in the overstating case, yeah, correction entry is swap it or make an entry with the opposite entry, yeah? Means that you have to reverse salaries that previously in debit, it is now in credit. Bank, it is now in the debit side, yeah, reverse, yeah? And then put the amount here with the difference. That is overstating case. Okay, now let's see if you are in the understating case. Paid motor expenses for $540 by check. This was posted to the book as 450. Yeah, this is the first sentence. This is the second sentence. So motor expenses 540 by check should be recorded with this motor expenses in the debit and bank in the credit side. Yeah, this was posted to the book as 450. You are making entry, the same entry, which is motor expenses and bank, but you recorded it as 450. Yeah, when it should be 540. So the actual entry is understated. It's lower than supposed to. When you are in the understating case, you just have to make an entry, the same entry, motor expenses and bank, yeah, and then you add the difference amount. Yeah, 450 is lower by 90 than it's supposed to. So you put motor expenses again in the debit side and put 90. Yeah. So the correction plus with actual, 450 plus 90 equals to 540. Same goes to the bank. Yeah. 90 plus 450 equals to 540. Okay. Clear enough? Clear, yeah? Okay, continue to reversal. Number 5. Do you have any question before I continue? No? Okay, good. Reversal. It happens when a transaction is wrongly recorded in reverse. Yeah, this is the common mistakes done by students. Yeah, reverse entry. Okay. Receive check from Clark for 3,500 as settlement of his debts. First sentence. Second sentence, this was debited to Clark account and credited in the cash book. Let's see number 1 first. Receive check from Clark means that bank should be in the debit side. From Clark means TR. Clark should be in the credit side. Yeah. So this is the should be entry that you must record. Number 2, this was debited to Clark account. So instead of putting bank in the debit, you put Clark in the debit side. And then bank in the credit side because it said by check, yeah? It said by check over here. So the bank is in credit side, like so. Okay. Any question? Not yet, yeah? Okay. So how we make a corrections on that? How we make a corrections on that? Okay. Now let's compare between actual and should be. You're supposed to record bank in the debit, but you record bank in the credit side. So what should you do? You put the bank in the right side, which is the bank in the debit side. Same goes to Clark. Clark put Clark in the credit side or where it's supposed to, on the right side. Yeah. Now let's see on the amount. After you put their sides correctly, like should be, now let's see the corrections amount. Now, the correction amount is not 3,500. You should double the amount. Once again, you should double the amount. Okay, Putih? Put, are you still with us? Putih? Okay, continue, yeah? So, 3,500, that is not the right amount to be entered in the correction entry. Why? The answer is shown by this illustration, okay? Now I'm going to put a timeline over here, and this is 0, okay? Imagine that you are adding the bank by 3,500. Adding the bank by 3,500 will make this graph or this line to be moved to the right side by 3,500 positive. Okay, but your actual entry is reduce the bank by 3,500. So instead of moving to the right side, you are moving to the left side, 3,500. Yeah. Now, right now, you are in this position right now, which is wrong. When it should be, you are in this position. You should be in this position. Okay. So how can you move from the wrong side or wrong position to the right position? You are making 2 steps. The first step is to cancel the 3,500. The first one that is deducted. So you go to the side, one step. So it means you have to add 3,500, and then you have to step more to make a correct entry. So that is why the amount here has to be doubled. The first 3,500 will cancel the one that you made here. The second 3,500 is to add the right one, because after you cancel with 3,500, your bank now is become 0. Meanwhile, your bank's supposed to be 3,500. Yeah, same goes to Clark. Okay, so remember, it has to be doubled. Yeah, or if it is not doubled, it should be added with the should be entry and actual entry, because error of reversal entry can be like this. Should be entry 3,500, and then actual entry Clark and bank, but I wrongly record that as 5,300. So this is a combination of reversal entry and original entry. Yeah, so when I did this, okay, the amount here is not 7,000, but it is 3,500 plus 5,300. Clear? Because I have to put 3,500 in the debit to cancel. Sorry, I have to put 5,300 to cancel what I wrote before, and I have to add 3,500 on the right amount. Yeah. So once again, if you meet reversal entry, if the amount is the same, you have to double it. But if you see the amount is not the same, you have to add both of the amount, 3,500 and 5,300. Yeah, but it is only when it happens. Okay, I'm going to add over here. If the actual is recorded as 5,300, then the correction amount should be 8,800. Yeah, it is from 5,300 plus 3,500. Okay, any question? No? Okay, continue, yeah? Number 6, compensating error. Now this one is hard. Pay attention. Compensating errors happens when two different transactions are recorded with errors, but somehow they compensate each other. So we are dealing with two different transactions, both of them making mistakes, yeah? Both of them making debit and credit wrong or overstated or understated, yeah, but somehow they compensate each other. This is 1 in a million chances happen, but it might happen, yeah. Now, for example, look at here, I have 4 different sentences. First one, cash sales for 1,000 was correctly entered in the cash book, but entered in the sales account as 1,100. Yeah, so that's the first entry. That's the first error. Now, from the first error, I divide again with 2 sentences. Cash sales for 1,000 is the right one. That's the first sentence. The second sentence, it said correctly entered in the cash book, but it entered in the sales account. Yeah, that's number 2 sentence. Yeah. Okay, now the second one, at the same time, credit purchases for 2,200 was correctly entered in the purchase ledger, but posted in the purchases account as 2,300. So the first error is already identified. Now the second error is the second transactions. The first transaction is cash sales. The second transaction is credit purchases. Okay, in the credit purchases, cut again with two sentences. The first sentence is credit purchases for 2,200. Yeah, the second sentence, it said correctly entered in purchase ledger. Purchase ledger is the same like TP. Remember, this is chapter 3, yeah? Purchase ledger is trade payable. But it posted in the purchases account as 2,300. Okay. Complicated, yeah? Now, don't worry, let's solve it one by one. Let's see the first error, yeah? Cash sales, $1,000 should be recorded with cash in the debit and sales in the credit. That's how it should be recorded. Now look at the second one, the mistakes that you made. It said correctly entered in the cash book. Correctly entered in the cash book means it was correctly entered in the cash side. So the cash is already correct, 1,000. Yeah, because it said correctly entered in the cash book. So cash is already correct. But entered in the sales account as 1,100. So when you make an entry in the credit side sales, you put 1,100 instead of 1,000. Look at here. This transaction will make your trial balance in the credit side overstated by 100. Your credit side now is overstated by 100. Clear, yeah, with that, yeah? Okay. Now, it is not equal. Let's see the second transaction. At the same time, credit purchases for 2,200. Yeah, this is the first sentence. So I go to should be entry. Credit purchases should be recorded with purchases in the debit side and trade payables in the credit side. Yeah, that's how credit purchases should be recorded. Once again, it all in the chapter 3. Yeah, should be recorded with 2,200 and 2,200. But let's see the second sentence. It said correctly entered in the purchase ledger. Okay, correctly entered in the purchase ledger means you made a correct entry in the TP. So when you make an actual, debit is purchases, credit is trade payables. The trade payables is correctly entered by 2,200 because it said so. But continue, yeah. But posted in the purchases account as 2,300. So you record purchases with 2,300. Now, from this transaction, it makes debit side to be overstated by 100. Yeah, you see, cash sales is different transaction from purchases. But somehow, both of this error compensate each other. Yeah, in this error, your credit side is over by 100. In this error, your debit side is overstated by 100. Yeah, somehow it makes it balance. Yeah, because debit and credit are overstated by the same amount. Okay, so it is balanced. So how to make corrections on that? Look at number 1. Who is the one that is overstated? The sales. So we should sorry, excuse me. Yeah. So we should deduct the sales by 100. So how to make a deduction on the sales? Put that in the debit side. So sales is 100. At the same time, purchases is also over by by what? 100. So you have to make a deduction. Put that in the credit side. Purchases by 100. So this is how you make a correction. After you create this, actual are now equal with the should be. Yeah. Once again, compensating errors. Yeah. There are two different transactions happens in the book, but somehow they make error and they are make the same amount error. Yeah. On different side. Like for this example, both debit, look at here, both debit and credit are overstated by the same amount. Yeah. Clear enough? Is it confusing? Confusing, yeah. On the last one, yeah. Compensating error, right? I told you this one is quite difficult, but once again, pay attention on the sentence. Yeah, always cut the sentence into two and try to solve it one by one. Do not swallow all the sentence all together because it will be confusing. Okay, once again, if you see compensating errors, the sentence, yeah, the transactions will be longer. They will give you like almost one paragraph transactions like this. Yeah, because there are two different transactions and each transactions create error. Okay, so you have to solve it one by one. So look at here, I'm going to make a shapes. The first one is to solve this one first. Yeah, solve this one first. And then number two, solve this. Okay. And then analyze the actual or wrong entry. Analyze this one. Yeah. So from the first box or from this first transactions, you see that the sales is overstated. Yeah. So you make a sign or highlight or whatever it is that you can put in your note that this one is the one that you need to make a correction on. Yeah. Wake up, Puti. And then on the second one, purchases is the one that is wrong. Yeah. So make a highlight. And then after that, last one is to make this one. Yeah. So that's how I can help you to solve a compensating error type of question. Yeah. Once again, this is 1 in a million chance that this happen, but it might happen. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. That's part number 1. I'm not going to force you to study part number 2, which is error that affecting trial balance, because I believe you're already overwhelmed with this. Okay, I'm going. Any question? I'm going to stop recording.